Chapter 5. Marcus reached the KFC drive-thru on the Wessington Way in Sunderland. He worked in the Business Innovation Centre, known locally as the BIC, nearby. This was the closest place he could get his fix of fried chicken from that famous global brand. As he pulled up, he remembered that he couldn't get a drink he liked in KFC. They had done away with all the full-fat options, leaving him with a choice of diets, lights, and maxes. He didn't even like the Krushems, which was as close as they got to the milkshakes he liked in McDonalds. "Welcome to KFC. Can I take your order?" the voice coming from the ordering pillar asked. "A zinger burger, a fillet burger, and a Pepsi," was what he wanted to say. He got the first 3 words out before the voice at the other end asked him another question. "Is that a meal?" "No thanks, just the burger," he responded, before repeating his order. "A zinger burger, a fillet burger, and a Pepsi." He couldn't remember if regular Pepsi was still on their menu. It wouldn't have been his first choice, stepping away from caffeine a few years earlier, but it was far more preferable to any of the diet options. He couldn't abide the taste of diet drinks. Marcus felt that they tasted artificial, and he didn't like anything artificial in his life. "Please drive to the next window," the voice replied. Marcus breathed a sigh of relief that Pepsi was still available. He paid, grabbed the bag of food, and drove off, looking for somewhere he could sit and see the River Wear while eating his food. Marcus lifted the UPS box from the seat to put his food down and noticed a stain on his seat. As he looked at the bottom of the box, he could see a red substance on the bottom, dripping onto the seat. He dropped the KFC bag onto his lap and moved the dripping box so it was over the floor mats rather than the seat, looking for a way to open it while keeping his fingers clean. Marcus saw a slight tear in the sellotape at the top corner and got his fingernail underneath it, pulling away at the tape. It moved after a few attempts, lifting to reveal a gap in the box, which he pushed at with his middle finger. As it drew open, Marcus recoiled at the contents, dropping it on the floor. He didn't recognize his wife's finger. Who would recognize the finger of a loved one when it was lifeless, detached from the rest of the hand? But he did recognize the wedding and engagement rings he had put on Ellie's finger almost 20 years earlier. His seat wasn't having a great day. A mouthful of vomit covered the blood that was already sticking to the fabric. Marcus knew he should have gone for leather. His head was spinning, not thinking straight. He gathered his thoughts and picked up his phone to dial 999. As he looked to the right, wondering if anyone had seen him puke, he spotted a UPS van driving slowly across to the right, back towards Washington and home. He started the ignition and set off in the same direction to see if it was the same van. A couple of right turns, and he was able to maneuver his car into the right lane next to the van at the next roundabout. It was the same man. Marcus set off in chase. The van driver was oblivious to his tail until Marcus started flashing his lights and sounding his horn. Marcus could see the man in the large wing mirror looking back. The exact second that he recognized Marcus saw him push the accelerator harder, plunging it to the floor. The van lurched off a few feet ahead of Marcus. He did the same thing, seeing his car easily catch the van up again. With this display of power, he expected the UPS van to pull over. It didn't. The driver saw that power wasn't going to win the day, so he used the bulk of the van to take up both lanes at the next roundabout, stopping Marcus from getting ahead. Marcus decided to bide his time. He could stay with the van all day, assuming that he had more gas in the tank. Having driven a pizza delivery van for a few months when he was in university, Marcus knew that these things guzzled gas. He settled in to follow the van. Marcus was prepared to play the long game. At the next roundabout, crossing over the A19, Marcus and the UPS van were the only two at the lights. The van driver covered the 2 lanes heading straight across back to Washington. Marcus decided that it was too risky to sit in the other lane, so he sat behind the van. The lights turned green. The driver didn't move the van. More cars assembled behind Marcus and his prey. Horns were sounded, lights flashed. Still, the UPS van didn't move. The lights turned red again. At this point, as traffic started to move from standing still to heading down the A19 at 70+ miles per hour, the UPS driver released the handbrake and moved his vehicle across the lanes of traffic. The danger was obvious. Marcus let him go. He had no other choice. By the time he made his way around the roundabout safely, the van was nowhere in sight. He picked up the phone again and dialed the number of a detective who Marcus had spoken to about the packages. He first thought it was something sinister, but was reassured that it was just a case of mistaken identity.